Hey guys, LevelCap here, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Gaming. With the first chapter of Tides of War from Battlefield 5 coming to a close this week, players are eagerly anticipating any new details about the next chapter, Lightning Strikes. So far, we know it will include a co-op mode called Combined Arms, a new grand operation likely set on the Panzerstorm map, a limited time return of the classic rush mode, and a new mode called Squad Conquest. We also know there will be two large patches this month. The first will include all the aforementioned content as well as some exciting improvements to the game. Combined Arms will probably be similar to Battlefield 3's co-op campaign, which let you and a friend play through a handful of missions together. It wasn't very popular with players, but has a lot of untapped potential. I believe this new one will let you play through with a full squad. Squad Conquest was briefly available on Battlefield 4 CTE server back in 2015. It was a 5 vs 5 version of Conquest that had weapon pickups and vehicle mechanics tied to flag caps. It never made it to the live version of the game though. Battlefield 5's version could be a direct copy of the original mode or an entirely new concept. As for those improvements to the game, vaulting is getting a big refinement. Windows and obstacles that can be tricky to climb should be sorted out. Small jumps, climbs, and falls will have much quicker animations as well. Larger falls and jumps will still have slow animations, but they will look much more natural. A new system for grabbing ledges will also be implemented that lets players drop and grab ledges below them. This works by holding the vault key while falling. The farther you fall, the harder it is to grab onto stuff. The kill cam is also getting some polish. Currently it only highlights the enemy that killed you if they're behind cover. The update should make the enemy player highlighted regardless of their visibility. Player health and damage indication is getting some refinements, though what exactly that means is not clear. Player visibility is still a top priority and will be addressed somehow. Being able to one-shot enemy planes with the Panzerfaust is also coming back with the first patch. The second patch will include a massive upgrade to the bipod system. Right now, the bipod only works somewhat reliably when you go prone. When it comes to using it on ledges, handrails, and general cover, it's got a bit of a mind of its own. The improved bipod looks a lot more consistent and generous with what it will deploy on. Most importantly, it will stay deployed when shooting and looking around at enemies. Also, Battlefield 5's paid microtransactions are going live on the 18th. We'll see what comes with them. There were a lot of skins that were available in some early content that I captured of Battlefield 5 if you look at some of my pre-release videos for the game. And there's some skins in there that I think people will be pretty excited about. With most DICE employees returning from vacation next week, details of the upcoming patches should start to trickle out. Looter shooter Anthem's upcoming demos have been officially scheduled. The VIP demo, which is limited to pre-order customers, goes live on the 25th and ends on the 27th. The same demo will be available to everyone starting on February 1st and ends on the 3rd. Two of the game's classes, aka Javelins, will be playable. The game's hub, Fort Tarsus, and a few select areas of the game world will be explorable. The demos will also showcase a few different mission types to try out, including story content. A small patch for PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds was deployed this week that fixed a handful of issues with the game's most recent content update on PC, Patch 24. The game will once again run in proper exclusive full screen mode. Some players found the game was forced to less ideal windowed, borderless mode despite setting the game otherwise. This had a big impact on performance. Out-of-bounds exploits on Vikendi were addressed, as were a handful of minor UI and animation issues. A trailer for the upcoming Arma 3 mod, Operation Trebuchet, has been released. It's a Halo total conversion mod for the milsim shooter and looks like it has a lot to offer. The gameplay is presented in a mostly cinematic fashion, making it hard to gauge if it actually plays like Halo or just looks like Halo. The mod is set during the fight between the UNSC and the insurrectionists before the Covenant attack. It's currently available on the Steam Workshop in an alpha state. There's also an expansion for the mod called First Strike that features the Covenant. Operation Trebuchet has been in development for several years, with various builds being available to try over the years. This is the first official release of the mod in a close to feature complete state. A bug in Rainbow Six Siege that caused your screen to be covered by random polygons was recently discovered. It persists through an entire match if triggered. Adjusting anti-aliasing apparently fixes it, but many players have used it as an exploit to win games. The bug is triggered by looking at a specific area in levels. Players could exploit it by standing or making lots of noise at the location that causes the bug. A couple other exploits also have been discovered. One of them lets players turn invisible and run through walls. Another lets players actually fly. Hopefully Ubisoft has a quick fix in the works for these issues. CSGO had a great month thanks to going free to play. It had over 20 million unique players in December and a peak concurrent player count of nearly 750,000. That's over 200,000 more peak players than November's peak. Also, the game got review bombed to the tune of 14,000 negative reviews in a single day following the switch to free-to-play, but clearly it's worked out for Valve. In a surprise move, Japan has outlawed reselling game keys without the creator's approval. This means gray market sites like G2A will have to ask permission before selling keys in Japan. They're the first country to ban such activity. Other sites like eBay will also be affected. People caught violating the new law will face fines up to $47,000. This is excellent news in the fight against companies like G2A that use shady tactics and keys bought with stolen credit cards to turn a profit at the expense of game developers and customers. But it's also a slippery slope for people that get free game codes from things like GPU purchases, humble bundles, and giveaways. Should those people really be fined for selling codes to games that they got fair and square? Perhaps it'll just force them to sell it to friends that they know in real life for cash rather than using online marketplaces. Japan also banned tools that alter save data in their distribution, which again is a weird move with some pros and cons. Activision Blizzard has lost two major executives this week. The CFO of Activision Blizzard, Spencer Newman, was fired and subsequently hired by Netflix. Now, Blizzard's CFO has quit for a job at the financial services company Square. Blizzard's shares dropped by 26% last year. The company's co-founder and president also left last year. Last week, it was reported that Blizzard has expanded an incentive program that offers severance packages to employees that quit voluntarily. RAM prices are expected to continue falling this year. Toward the end of last year, memory manufacturers were caught price fixing their products so that they could keep the inflated prices established by the mining boom going on for a longer period of time. This year, it looks like they're slowing down production to slow the decline of prices. So while it's projected we'll see a 20% decrease in consumer RAM prices this year, manufacturers are artificially decreasing supply to inflate demand, which will keep prices from dropping further. The PT Silent Hills teaser demo developed by Hideo Kojima may have been taken down from the official PlayStation Store, but its legacy continues in a new fan-made remake. Unreal PT is a full recreation of the demo made in Unreal Engine 4. Most of the remake's assets were created by its developer Radius Gardello, but some of them, like sounds, character models, and images, were pulled from the original demo. This could open the remake up to a cease and desist from the demo's publisher Konami. The remake also supports VR. There have been several attempts at recreating PT on PC, but this is one of the closest original experiences. Former Valve writer Eric Wolpaw is back at the company in a limited capacity. He left the company in 2017 and had worked on Portal, Half-Life 2, and Left 4 Dead. He's been brought back on as a contractor to work with Valve's current writing staff when needed. Wolpaw left along with several other Valve writers, including one of the principal writers behind both Half-Life games, Mark Laidlaw. Valve currently have a handful of games in active development, including one referred to as HalfLife VR and several significant leaks. Wolpaw is the second former writer to be brought back by Valve fueling speculation that Half-Life VR is either a game set during the events of the existing games or a continuation of the franchise and not just a VR remake of the original game. Anyway, that wraps it up for today's episode of This Week in Gaming. As always, thanks for watching. I'm looking forward to the rest of 2019 and all the epic titles and things that are coming with it. Be sure to stay tuned if you want all the details on what's coming next. I'll see you guys next time. This is Level Cap signing off.